What up, though? I've been wanting to do a video on this reasonable questions for anti-social justice warriors for a while. But in light of Hillary's loss and them asking all these questions so smugly because all the media agreed with them and them so sure of themselves, I think it adds a different twist to answering these questions now that Donald Trump is the president and all they can do is cry about it. So, here is reasonable questions for anti-social justice warriors. Let's get started, because there's a lot of them, and there's a lot of bullshit too. Half of them aren't even real questions. Of course, what did you expect?
Are you able to understand the irony of responding to the perceived political correctness of the left with exasperated reactionary hypersensitivity of your own?
So, you're actually asking and judging people's reactions to social justice warriors bullshit. So, if you got hit in the face, your reaction is more important and more outrageous than the person that hit you in the face. Social justice warriors pull fire alarms on people just trying to talk about their issues. They interrupt speakers, they ban speakers, they sue comedians. We should have a strong reaction to this ridiculousness. College, the place that you're supposed to experience new ideas and challenge yourself and be challenged, is now a place of safe spaces and faculty getting yelled at by social justice warriors and told what their jobs are supposed to be. This shit is out of control. And virtue signaling and all that bullshit has failed. And I think them not winning their candidate not winning proves that. The world has spoken. We see through the bullshit. You actually need to engage with an argument, not just virtue signal and call people names and initiate violence.
What is it with you people and skulls?
As long as there's been humans, there has been infatuation with skulls and some other bones. Skull and crossbones on pirate flags. There are petroglyphs from all around the world with skulls carved into walls. In South America, there are pyramids with skulls carved into walls. This is not a new phenomenon. If you don't understand people's fascination with what is going on inside of them, then I don't know what to tell you. Learn some science. There's too much information for me to unpack in this video.
How do you define right-wing? Anti-SJWs often have an aversion to being labelled as right-wing, yet they regularly defend the right and bash the left. Therefore, why is being labelled right-wing a bad thing to you? And if it's because right-wing is used as a pejorative, can you not see how labelling people as SJWs or regressives is also pejorative?
Right-wing or the conservatives is already a clear defined definition. That I'm surprised you even have to ask that. But they probably don't want to be called that if they're not that. I used to consider myself a, Democrat and even a social justice warrior, even a feminist at one time. But I quickly learned that they're all about, playing a victim role, and I saw through it when I actually looked at the numbers of things and looked at reality. People don't want to be called what they don't consider themselves. And everything can be a pejorative. I mean, any word. What do you want to delete all pejoratives like you tried to ban bossy and shit too? Ridiculous.
Rather than telling people you disagree with to drink bleach, wouldn't it be more productive for you to have an actual conversation about the issues you feel matter? Or is it just easier to do the bleach thing?
I don't know who made the drink bleach comment. I really don't care. Maybe just a little bit of trolling. Maybe they were just pissed. Everyone does that. But you say, wouldn't it be more productive to bring up the issues that you feel matter? This from the people that every time that people bring to them the issues that matter, first thing they do is label them a racist, misogynist, sexist, transphobic, blah, 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 and dismiss their argument completely. So, what the fuck? No matter how it comes at you, by ridicule, by a good argument, you're gonna find a way to avoid that shit and then pretend like you answered it and walk away with your fucking smug look on your fucking face.
You claim to be proponents of rational, logical, evidence-based argumentation. That's great. That's entirely laudable. But when I look at your online activity, when I look at, I don't know, for example, your Twitter feed, that's often not what I see. How do you reconcile this claim to be evidence-based and rational and logical against stuff like, oh, I was just trolling you, oh, I was just shitposting, or TLDR?
Total non sequitur. I mean, even the most brilliant minds in the world make jokes. You don't fucking understand that, dude? You don't understand that you can have great ideas and still crack jokes that are funny? Well, what am I saying? Of course you don't understand that shit. You motherfuckers can't take a goddamn joke. But the problem is that sometimes it evolves into that because instead of dealing with the argument, you guys say, just go educate yourself. Or immediately you're racist and ignore. I mean, who's really doing the dirt here? You guys, every single question you ask, you should be asking yourselves. I mean, who is it that gets people banned on Twitter? It's not Republicans, it's not the right, it's the far left. Who got Milo kicked off of Twitter? Hillary Clinton said she wanted to shut down Alex Jones. I don't give two shits about Alex Jones. But that sort of mentality comes from the left and not the right, yo. And they call the far right Hitler, but Hitler was the one trying to ban books and shit, yo, and burn them. Might want to consider
No,
that.
seriously? What is it with you people and skulls?
You're a fucking dumbass, dude. I already answered that shit, and I don't know what else to fucking say, except that it's amazing, and this just proves that you have no argument. There's supposed to be questions, right? I realize there's supposed to be a few jokes, but that shit ain't even fucking funny, yo. So it's like, why are you wasting your time? If you supposedly want us to deal with issues and shit, and you think that we're the ones avoiding it, which we are the ones that are not, we are the ones pushing to put light on this shit, you know, daylight kills all bullshit. That's what it needs. Some fucking daylight. And that's what we're trying to do. Because it's ridiculous how you motherfuckers act.
Are you aware that the ridiculous buzzwords you helped to popularize, like SJW and cuck and regressive, have all lost whatever meaning they once had and only serve now as casual insults and pejoratives to derail any meaningful conversation?
Once again, this from the people that don't do anything but derail conversations and virtue signal. Everything can be a pejorative. Nerd is a pejorative. Dork is a pejorative. You know, being called a white boy is a pejorative. Everything can be a pejorative. Get over it. And we're not the ones pushing this. All we're doing is observing, man. And if you guys are a ridiculous stereotype, just like if we were, you would want to point that shit out. Humans been doing this since the beginning of fucking time, dude. Get over it, man. Thicker skin. This from social justice warriors who misrepresent every single argument presented to them and virtue signal and instantly derail it by calling people racist and bigots and not even knowing what their argument is. Meanwhile, those same people can tell you, and I bet they could get you to sign off on exactly what your side of the argument is.
For the last time, what is it with you people and committing actual literal felonies? Like, you might want to work on that? I mean, I thought the Ralph retort was so rational when he was fantasizing about beating up women with dyed hair, but then he assaulted a police officer, and finally I was convinced.
Okay, some crazy guy that you think is associated with what group? Anti-social justice warriors does something crazy, and that means that everybody who's against social justice in the way that you view it is that same exact guy? That is racism. That is the definition of racism. But for starters, no one is responsible for the actions of other people. But you can talk against that guy, nobody gives a shit. Just don't try to lump us together. When we address Trigglypuff, she actually declares herself a social justice warrior. So we're just going off of that, man. And you are including yourself into this conversation, just as I am. So don't try to pretend like this shit is being forced upon you. I thought we've proven recently that people aren't responsible for their followers. I mean, Hillary's people started riots, and even after that they lost, who's doing the fucking felonies here, yo? Who is really doing the
In
fucking felonies?
videos and in the comment sections, anti-feminists often take up the most extreme or the weakest feminist position they can find, or they just straight up misrepresent what the feminist position is. Instead, why not take up the strongest, most robust feminist argument you can find and really challenge yourself?
This from social justice warriors who misrepresent every single argument presented to them and virtue signal and instantly derail it by calling people racist and bigots and not even knowing what their argument is. Meanwhile, those same people can tell you, and I bet they could get you to sign off on exactly what your side of the argument is. And every single position that modern third wave feminism holds is ridiculous. And as far as I can see, every one of them is not only being attacked, but being destroyed. As hard as the liberal media tries to hide the shit because they don't want to deal with the, repercussion of better ideas. So while you sit there with that smug look on your face, really? Bring up an idea, point that shit out, and watch that shit get destroyed. I think people have spoken.
I am deeply concerned with male addiction rates, suicide rates, and abuse rates, because I have worked with these issues in the quote-unquote real world. Would you be willing as anti-feminists to put aside your differences with feminists for the greater good of addressing these issues, especially as the kind of solutions needed are not necessarily gendered? And if so, I would actually like you to let me know, because I'm not fucking around or presenting any gotchas here. I actually really think that we could get something done if we work together. So, yeah.
I actually give you props, because if you actually care about other people's rights than just women, then maybe you actually are for equality. But realize most of what people who consider themselves part of your movement are just out and out man haters. Kill all white people, kill all men. Hashtag that shit. I do agree with people who are actually for equality, because I'm only anti-social justice warrior in the way that you guys think that you are social justice warriors. Really, you're the bigots, you're the racists. I believe in actual equality for men, women, and children of any race and nationality. Doesn't matter. So I actually give you props for caring about other people's issues as well. Good for you. And I think the anti-social justice warriors have been trying to deal with those issues all along. I mean, we're not the ones pulling fire alarms on people for these very same issues.
What is
right?
third wave feminism? Because I've often heard you folks insist that you have no objection to feminism in general. It's specifically third wave feminism that you have a quarrel with. So what is third wave feminism specifically? And what specifically about third wave feminism do you have such a problem with?
Steve Shives, you're a real fucking turd. Every time you ask this fucking question, you get an answer, and you still act like you never fucking heard the answer. First wave feminism was basically gaining the right to vote. Second wave feminism basically made all women's rights equal to that of men's. 3 times Equal Pay Act has been signed into law. Third wave feminism is a wave of female supremacy. After they achieved equality, now it's just supremacy. That's why women have half dozen more law written into rights than men have. I'm surprised that this has to be told to you once fucking again, dude. And that's the problem. It's female supremacy. As an egalitarian, any supremacy group, in my opinion, are fucking a bunch of dumbasses and assholes and bigots and racists. Including you guys. I think that's about it for one video. I'm gonna finish this video if it fucking kills me. Until next time, catch me on the part 2. Socrates, peace.